Another big name comes off the board. Chris Tanev is a Dallas Star. And our video about it is brought to you by MCal. If you own a business, you have IT issues, and that's what MCal is for. Visit mcal.ca/SDPN. IT issues are what MCal takes care of. Security, backup, stuff you need for work from home because traffic sucks. Maybe you have a big business, a small business, the type of business that makes a three-way deal on a Wednesday evening. Whatever the size of your business, MCal can take care of your IT issues for you. MCal is a Canadian company, which we like, and they typically take care of requests within the hour. What's in it for you? Something better than draft picks, an extra free month of service. That's if you visit mcal.ca/SDPN and use the promo code DANGLE. Now that I've told you about that blockbuster of a deal, let's get to this blockbuster of a trade. What are the marquee names of the 2024 NHL trade deadline, and one of the biggest right-handed shot defensemen available is on a team that's already really good. Let me say this, a lot of people have echoed it online already. I think Chris Tanev to the Dallas Stars is a perfect fit for a team that's already pretty ridiculous. At the time I'm recording this, the Dallas Stars are tied for 5th in the entire NHL with divisional rival, the Winnipeg Jets. Granted, the Jets have played 4 fewer games. That's a big factor. Not to mention the Colorado Avalanche are just 2 points behind the Dallas Stars, and they have a game in hand. Maybe that's part of the incentive for the Dallas Stars to pull the trigger on this deal a little early. Not only are they fighting for the top spot in the division, but they could be fighting for home ice advantage in a series with, could be Winnipeg, could be Colorado. I mean, if the playoffs start today, the Stars would be playing Colorado. It's a pretty big deal. Speaking of pretty big deal, it was getting out there. Pierre LeBrun, Elliot Friedman, Frank Saravalli, a bunch of guys had the details of this deal, or some of them. Then the Dallas Stars put out this graphic. We have acquired Chris Tanev and Cole Brady, he's a prospect, in a 3-team deal with the Calgary Flames and New Jersey Devils. Very interesting. Welcome to Texas hockey, Chris and Cole. Here's the deal. The Dallas Stars acquire Chris Tanev and Cole Brady. The Calgary Flames acquire Artem Grushnikov, a 2024 second-round pick, and a 2026 third-round pick, which is conditional. The New Jersey Devils receive the Dallas Stars 2026 fourth-round pick, and they retain 50% of the salary of Chris Tanev for this season. Now, if that sounds complicated, guess what? It's actually more complicated than that. Here is the full Chris Tanev deal as posted by Sean Shapiro of The Athletic, who does an incredible job covering the Dallas Stars. Highly recommended follow. Sean says the full Tanev trade, it was a 3-parter. Trade number 1. The New Jersey Devils trade unsigned draft choice goaltender Cole Brady to the Calgary Flames in exchange for defenseman Chris Tanev. Furthermore, the Calgary Flames have agreed to retain 50% of all future obligations to Tanev's contract for the 2023-24 season. Already, that's not what that graphic the Stars put out said at all, is it? Like, am I reading that wrong? Trade number 2. The New Jersey Devils trade defenseman Chris Tanev to the Dallas Stars in exchange for Dallas's own 4th-round selection in 2026. Furthermore, the New Jersey Devils have agreed to retain 50% of all future obligations to Tanev's contract for the 2023-24 season. So if I'm reading that right, the Flames retained 50% of Chris Tanev's $4.5 million cap hit for the remainder of this season, and the Devils agreed to retain 50% of the rest of it, which I guess would be, oh boy, don't make me do math. They said there'd be no math. $1.125 million. Finally, trade number 3, the Calgary Flames trade unsigned draft choice goaltender Cole Brady to the Dallas Stars in exchange for defenseman Artem Grushnikov, Dallas's own second-round selection in 2024, and a conditional third-round selection in 2026, Dallas's own, if Dallas advances to the Stanley Cup Final in the 2024 playoffs, which means to say they win 3 rounds. If Dallas does not win 3 rounds in the 2024 playoffs, then no additional pick is transferred from Dallas to Calgary. So there's some important information there. It was originally reported that the Calgary Flames are receiving a second-round draft pick, Grushnikov, who is a second-round pick from 2021, he's a prospect, and a conditional pick. There's a chance, in fact, a really strong chance, that this deal works out where Calgary only gets the 2024 second-rounder and Grushnikov. From Dallas's point of view, if you make the Stanley Cup Final, We don't care about that third-round pick in 2026. We don't care. You might remember the Chris Pronger deal between the Oilers and Ducks many years ago, and I'm certainly not comparing Chris Tanev to Chris Pronger, but there was a conditional pick in there that was, hey, if we make it to the Stanley Cup final, you get an extra first rounder. And then, of course, the Anaheim Ducks did make the Stanley Cup final. They had to give the Oilers another first rounder, and the Ducks didn't care because they made it to the Stanley Cup final and won the Stanley Cup. So the fact that that conditional pick is a third rounder or nothing is surprising to me. From the New Jersey Devils end of things, I'm a little surprised there as well. Or maybe they're just thinking about the future, because they essentially purchased a fourth round pick 3 drafts from now. I don't know, maybe they're thinking inflation, the price of a pick will go up. So ignoring the conditional draft pick, because the Dallas Stars have to play a lot of hockey in order for that draft pick to even be thought about. As a Flames fan, you probably wanted a first round pick for Chris Tanev, but you can convince yourself, well, we got 2 seconds. A second round actual draft pick and Grushnikov, who is a second round draft pick from just a couple drafts ago in 2021. Artem Grushnikov is a 20-year-old defenseman from Russia. He's 6'2", which is on the bigger side, and listed as 180 pounds on the HockeyDB site. Now, 6'2", he's only 20 years old. You figure he can maybe put on a little bit of weight on that frame. You never know. And he is a defenseman, so his primary job is defense. But in terms of offensive ability, he's shown basically no evidence of it in North America. He played 2 seasons in the Ontario Hockey League. He had 12 and 17 points. Did have 8 goals the one year. And this season, in 44 games with the AHL's Texas Stars, he has 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points. Fun fact, he was picked 48th overall in 2021. The pick before him, Logan Stankoven, who was also picked by the Dallas Stars. They had back-to-back picks. Fans were a little more excited for one than the other. Now, this trade deadline, the Flames are making a whole lot of noise. They're kicking up a whole bunch of dust. They've already traded Nikita Zadorov, they've traded Chris Tanev, and they've also moved on from Elias Lindholm. They could be moving on from a whole lot more. Making this deal now allows them to do that. They could do something that we all have seen coming for a little while in Noah Hannafin. But what if Rasmus Andersson is available? What if Jacob Markstrom is a thing they're looking to get done? Maybe something that we haven't seen coming, although I would be surprised on account of Calgary leaks everything to everybody. There's definitely reason to be excited for the future of the Calgary Flames, but if you were expecting a first rounder or more for Chris Tanev, this return has to kind of suck. Now, what are the Dallas Stars getting? There's Cole Brady, a 5th round pick by the New Jersey Devils in 2018. He's 23 years old and currently a backup in the NCAA. He's played just 9 games for UMass Amherst instead of the 23 games that the starter Michael Hrabel has played, a 2nd round pick of the Arizona Coyotes, who is massive. So if you're a Dallas Stars fan going, hey, we also got, don't get too cheeky. Maybe, you never know, maybe, but But Chris Tanev is the big deal here. What scares you off about Chris Tanev? He's 34. Steve, you forgot to mention the part where he gets injured often. That's implied when I say he's 34. Take it from someone who's 35. But here's the fun part. He's about 200 pounds and 6'2". Get a load of this Dallas decor from capfriendly.com. Thomas Harley, 6'3". Miro Heiskanen, who's 6'1", but who cares? He's Miro Heiskanen. Ryan Suter, 6'2". Esa Lindell, 6'3". Joel Hanley, 5'11". Aw. And then Yanni Hakanpää, 6'5". You see what the Dallas Stars are going for. Vegas Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup last year with a roster that was entirely players 6 feet and up, except for one guy, and that guy happened to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. It was Jonathan Marchessault, which is hilarious. This deal gives the Dallas Stars even more size. It gives them more flexibility, especially on the right, which if you look at that decor, it's the one thing you might say, yeah, we could improve there. What I would say for Dallas is you always want to be getting better, obviously, with every move. But I feel like at this time of the year, it's not just about getting good players. It's about getting guys who fit what you're doing. And Chris Tanev feels like he was made in a lab to play for this iteration of the Dallas Stars. Now, that's what I've got to say, but there's someone who I think you should hear from, Julian McKenzie, who covers the Calgary Flames for The Athletic and basically everybody else. Here's what he's got to say about the return that the Calgary Flames got and the type of season Chris Tanev has had so far.
Okay, before I get into the trade itself, I'll talk a little bit about Chris Tanev. Warrior of a player, played on that right side, played through a lot of pain, played through a dislocated shoulder in the 2022 playoffs. I've seen that man block pucks with his face, his head, all over his body. He played through pain, and a lot of his teammates appreciated him for it, especially the fact that he was able to step back onto the ice and continue playing. Don't know how he does it. He's a better man than me. He's a better man than a lot of people for being able to do that. And I can tell you, he will be missed in that locker room in Calgary. He will be missed on the ice, especially for a guy like Noah Hannafin, who has been playing really well in a contract year, and all eyes are going to be on him over the next few days ahead of the trade deadline. In terms of the trade itself, the Flames wanted a first-round pick for this guy. It was out there that they wanted a second, but they were holding out for a first-round pick. And the fact that they didn't get it, I wonder how people would feel about that trade if the second came with a slightly better quality prospect. And that's no shade to Artem Grushnikov, who, when Scott Wheeler did his prospect report on the Dallas Stars, he ranked him as the 10th best prospect in the Dallas Stars system. But I wonder if Grushnikov would rank among the Flames' top 10 prospects right now. There's still a lot to figure out with this player. He's defensive minded, but he does have some good skating ability. But it remains to be seen what he'll truly be with the Calgary Flames. And I wonder how many teams may have been interested in doling out that first round pick. Obviously, it ends up with only a second and a conditional third and the prospect. But a lot of people were connecting the Toronto Maple Leafs as a possible destination for Chris Tanev. They don't have a second through to 2027. How much were they really willing to flip that first round pick? The Edmonton Oilers, I haven't heard that discussed enough. Were the Oilers willing to flip a first round pick in exchange for Chris Tanev? It's one thing to deal with your former general manager. What about giving Chris Tanev to your provincial rival? A ton of questions to be asked with that. Not to mention there's salary retention in that too, which the Flames don't necessarily do a lot of. So I think the disappointment from Flames fans on this lies in the fact that the Flames didn't get a first round pick, and also the fact that there was salary retention involved, but they ultimately come away with a second round pick, a conditional pick, and a lesser known prospect. Time will tell. Maybe Grushnikov turns himself into a solid player, an everyday NHL player, but a lot of fans in Calgary a bit lukewarm on this trade from Craig Conroy.
God, I love Julian so much. And if you want to see more of Julian, The Chris Johnston Show, 2 episodes per week right here on SDPN. You are not going to want to miss it. If you haven't checked it out before, you have to. Heading into the trade deadline, it has been fire. CJ was all behind that Winnipeg Jets story that broke earlier this week. Oh, they're doing a great job. So, who do you think won the deal? Let me know in the comment box down below. Let me know what you thought of the deal. But for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Become an SDP VIP. And Chris Tanev is a Dallas Star.